The last 48 hours, there have been unprecedented developments in Syria, something that's said to impact the entire region, Middle East, and of course the world at large as well. To understand the dynamics, how it could reshape some of the global world order, and how it could reshape political developments around the world, I have with me the ambassador of Israel to India, Mr. Reuven Azar, speaking on what could be the next steps for the region, for Israel, and how significant it could be to reshape that entire area. Thank you so much, Excellency, for taking out the time speaking to
Gaurie,
NDTV.
for the interview.
My first question to you as we talk about the unprecedented developments in Syria is that, of course, Israel is not a stakeholder in what all happened, but it gets impacted because it's an important development that has taken place. Talk to us about how Israel is seeing how these changes have taken place in Syria and how they're set to reshape that entire region.
Well, Israel is no doubt in a situation of alert. We are following very closely the events in Syria. The Israel Defense Forces have taken defensive positions in the buffer zone, in the border between Israel and Syria. As you probably know, there is a disengagement zone that was created in 1974 following the Yom Kippur War. That zone is a buffer zone of several hundred meters to a few kilometers in the north. In the past, that area was attacked by different groups. It has been attacked now too. The UN forces there, the observers that belong to an organization called UNDOF, have been attacked. Israel has come to their rescue. So we are taking these temporary defensive positions in the buffer zone and following very closely what's going on the other side, preparing to defend ourselves against any possible attack or development.
There is this sense that I see, and several leaders are also talking about it, that Israel has sort of preempted some of what as developments are happening, or some are saying that Israel is trying to take advantage of a very volatile situation. Explain to us that is this A, temporary, B, from a security point of view, why was it necessary?
Well, as you know, Israel was attacked on the 7th of October. And that decision to attack Israel, I think, was a decision that not only caused huge damage to Israel, and we had to defend ourselves, but it also had it had an effect in the region. Because from the moment that Hezbollah decided to involve itself in the conflict and attacking Israel from the north, it was just a matter of time until Israel would have to take the necessary steps to defend ourselves. So I think that Iran and Hezbollah made a huge miscalculation. They didn't understand what are going to be the consequences of their attack against Israel. Hezbollah has been hit very hard. Nasrallah, as you remember, was taken out, with many thousands of Hezbollah terrorists. Iran attacked Israel directly, and as you know, Israel defended itself and attacked Iran back. So when you look at the picture, you see that these tentacles of the Iranian regime have been cut.
But in that, the
Hamas,
reason,
Hezbollah, and now forces in the region that have been following that and seeing the debilitation of the Iran axis took advantage of it. And that's how you see the change in Syria. Israel is not involved in the Syrian conflict. We are not intending to involve ourselves in Syrian politics. And that's a matter that the Syrian people will have to sort out itself.
But the fact that the Israeli forces entered the buffer zone, I was asking about that is it temporary? What was the rationale for it? Because that is something that a lot of people are asking, that was it needed at this moment?
Right. It is temporary, and it was needed. It was needed because, as you remember, and maybe your audience doesn't remember, that back in 2010, when the civil war in Syria started, we had a situation in which ISIS-related groups and other groups entered into the buffer zone and used that buffer zone in order to entrench themselves, fight against the Assad regime, and also, from time to time, attack Israel. So we had to take care of that. Okay? It took us a lot of effort to clean the buffer zone from these elements that were using the border with Israel as a shield from the bombardments of the Assad regime towards them. And some of these missiles fell in Israeli territory. So now we had to make sure that this buffer zone is not utilized again as an entrenchment for rogue terrorist elements.
Do you anticipate that, given the fact that though yes, there's been a regime change, Assad government has fallen, but those who are now set to take power are also offshoots of Al-Qaeda. They're also, have extreme Islamist ideology. They may have disowned some of the Al-Qaeda thought, but are unlikely to be completely of a different thought process there. Do you anticipate rogue elements?
You are right that there are many rogue elements in the Middle East. There are many radicals. Some of them are Shiite radicals. Some of them are Sunni radicals in Syria as well. So we are learning from the past. We saw in the past that we were attacked by such rogue elements. We don't want that to repeat itself. We don't know what is going to happen in Syria, who is going to take control, how long this is going to take until they take effective control, what will be their approach towards Israel.
Yes.
So naturally, we are in a defensive position without interfering in Syrian politics, but alert to the scenario that we will be attacked.
Fine. That is a defense and a national security point of view. Israel is not involved in the Syrian politics. It is, of course, going to be impacted like the other people as well in the region. But what about Iran? The developments in Syria are having or set to have a major impact on Iran as well. That impacts Israel directly, doesn't it?
Well, as I said, Iran did a huge miscalculation. It is now exposed, not only by the fact that their tentacles, 3 of them, were cut now, okay, but also by the fact that we have proven that they are not immune, that if they attack Israel, they will be attacked. So in our counterattack, we removed their air defenses, we hit their missile and drone factories, and we even hit an element of their nuclear program. So if they decide to continue the escalation against Israel, of course Israel will remain the right to defend itself.
Do you think that this will weaken Hezbollah significantly, because Iran may not be able to rearm Hezbollah that much, and that will have a direct impact on Israel's security and strategic calculations?
Yeah, look, there are different geopolitical changes that are going to happen as a result of what we did to remove Hamas and Hezbollah and what is going now in Syria. We don't know yet all the implications, but you can see very clearly at this point that, first of all, these tentacles are removed. Second, that apparently, I don't know yet whether it's final or not, the Russian military presence in Syria is going to come to an end, and that changes the state of play in the Eastern Mediterranean when it comes to the balance between Russia and NATO. Okay, and the third thing is that Turkey and to a certain extent Qatar, that are supporting these rebels, are going to feel encouraged to try to shape the future of Syria, maybe other Arab states, we don't know yet. So we have to contemplate that. Israel is present in the region. I think Israel made it very clear that we will not agree to be attacked by anybody, and those who decided to attack us have paid a huge price. So this is going to influence also not only what is happening in Syria, but what is the power play in Lebanon as well. We don't know how. At this point, as you know, we are positioned on the other side, on the Lebanese side, on the border. We are trying to implement the ceasefire that we have with the government of Lebanon. We are not going to allow Hezbollah to go back to the border with Israel. So there as well, we're taking positions, waiting to see what is going to happen. But I think that by now, it is very clear to different players in the region, including these terrorist organizations, that Israel is very resolute to defend itself. And I hope that they don't decide to attack.
Several questions come in from that, and I'm going to take them one by one. But first, the reason why I asked Iran is the fact that Beirut to Damascus has been a very important corridor for Iran in the past as well, and that has been important for Hezbollah as well. Do you see that corridor now being closed for Iran, and that having a larger implication for Hezbollah, and also for Lebanon people as well? Lebanese people stand to get impacted as well. Do you think that is now going to be the largest and the most obvious takeaway from Iranian ability or lack of ability to help Hezbollah?
It seems that in the immediate future, this corridor was taken out. I don't know what will be the future relations between the Syrian government and the Iranian government. It's too early to say. It seems that there is a conflict in the region between Sunni and Shiite radical forces.
Yes.
And Israel has been subject to attack by both in the past. So it's not that, we wish that we would see a situation in Syria that we have peace. Our Prime Minister has gone out with a very clear statement that we are sending a message of peace, both to the Kurds, to the Druze, to the Christians and the Muslims in Syria, and we wish to have peaceful relations with Syria.
Yes.
The question is, what will be the approach of the new government as when it shapes up?
And also, this is likely to be a Sunni government, and Iranians, of course, are Shia majority, and that could, of course, create more regional, I wouldn't say conflict, maybe tensions that remain to be seen how they pan out. But let me then ask you about the ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon. There have been violations, but there's also hope that some of it could pan out. Do you think now, or is Israel now more optimistic that the ceasefire chances of it being totally fulfilled by Lebanon are higher, given the fact that Hezbollah may not be rearmed that much by Iran, at least in the immediate weeks?
We are very cautious here. We think that the Lebanese government is not moving fast enough. We have seen attempts by Hezbollah operatives to go south to the Litani, to move weapons from place to place. Each time that we saw things like that, we took immediate action.
Yes.
This is a responsibility of the Lebanese government, and Israel will not rest until the terms of this ceasefire are completely implemented.
Yes.
And that means that if the Lebanese government won't act against Hezbollah south of the Litani, Israel will be obliged to do so. And this is very clearly stated also in the side letter that we got from the Americans. We have a right to defend ourselves. We won't allow a situation in which Hezbollah comes back to our border.
Yes.
And we won't allow Hezbollah to fire at northern Israel. If you remember, the aim that the cabinet has clearly defined is that we must allow our citizens, the citizens that were uprooted from the border area villages, about 60,000 of them, to return safely to their homes. If they feel that this ceasefire is not perpetuated, they won't go back. So
Yes.
we need to stabilize the region. It's either done by the Lebanese government or it will have to be done by Israel.
Say hello to your perfect shape with the Velform Cross Compression Shaper from JML. The incredible figure-enhancing shapewear with an X-Flex cross-panel design that instantly flattens your tummy, shaping away unwanted love handles whilst helping to smooth away back fat to minimize muffin tops. It's comfortable to wear all day and it's discreet so it won't show under your clothes. Achieve the silhouette you've always wanted with the Velform Cross Compression Shaper. Only $19.99 from Asda, Boots, Morrisons, Tesco and JMLdirect.com.
Some people think life slows down in your 50s, but I'm just getting started. And I don't want my lot to have to worry about funeral costs. Let them spend their money on nicer things. So I decided to learn more about over 50s life insurance from Cover Today. They're the only over 50s life insurer with no waiting period. Unlike other insurers who could make you wait up to 2 years, with Cover Today, you're fully covered from day one. And you're covered for the whole of your life. Unlike other things in life, the price never goes up. Go online or talk to their friendly UK team in just one phone call. Cover Today are the only over 50s life insurer with no waiting period.
And no annoying trips to the doctors either. Plus, you get your choice of a £125 gift card.
Now I'm with Cover Today, I can get on with something much more interesting.
To find out more about Cover Today, call our friendly UK team on 0800 470 4474 or visit covertoday.co.uk.
Dan's Christmas will be spent on a pavement. John can't remember when he wasn't on the streets. Lauren feels safer here than at home. Please help the Salvation Army bring a homeless person in from the cold by calling 0800 044 8833. Your £19 will help show them someone cares and give them the chance of a fresh start this Christmas. Thank you.
As a dad, I know life's unpredictable. It's all fun and games until it's not.
You okay?
I want my kids to always be looked after. That's why I'm not putting things off anymore and protecting the life we've built by calling Smart Insurance.
Hi, how can I help?
Hi, I'd like a quick quote, please.
Okay, you can choose a benefit amount up to £750,000 depending on your age.
Brilliant.
If you're a UK resident aged 18 to 64, you can apply with just a few health and lifestyle questions. For £250,000 of cover, the price starts at just £14.77 a month.
That's less than I thought. And could help my wife pay off the mortgage.
With our Smart Family Guarantee and 99% of claims having been paid, you'll have peace of mind.
That's good to know.
You'll also receive a 100% advance in the event of terminal illness and 10% cashback on your first year's premiums. That's the Smart Cashback. Plus, you get your choice of a £125 gift card.
Protect the life you've built the smart way. To get a free quote today, call our specialist UK team on 0800 977 6797 or visit smartinsurance.co.uk.
Are you now, or is Israel now more hopeful that ceasefire violations by Hezbollah will be less, given the complexities right now?
Well, yeah, it's clear that Hezbollah has been debilitated, and in this situation, we'll have to recalibrate how brazen it wants to be when it comes to provocations against Israel. We certainly hope that the new situation will be more favorable to stability, and that's what we are thriving for.
There are some reports, or there are some analysts who expect that given the very dramatic changes that have taken place from Iran's political point of view as well in the region, and the power imbalance that has suddenly taken place for it, it may probably now pursue the nuclear program with a new zeal to be able to arrest some of the power imbalance that has taken place in the last 48 hours against it. How does Israel respond to that?
Well, as you probably know, the Prime Minister of Israel has declared very clearly that Israel will not allow Iran to arm itself with a nuclear weapon. And we are resolute to follow that decision. We have the tools of doing that, if you have seen in the past, we have shown that Iran is vulnerable and is exposed. So I think that it's about time that the Iranian regime understands that they should change their approach towards Israel. And if they pursue such a path, it will be very dangerous for the regime.
And the reason why I asked you this is because there is a power vacuum in Syria, and there is also a regional competition between Turkey and Iran. So in the backdrop of that, these changes that have taken place in the geopolitical scenario in the last couple of days are going to have major impact, and they will decide decision making, both for Turkey, both for Iran and several other players. In your assessment, where do you see this power vacuum leading up to over the course of next couple of weeks, couple of months? Because longer than that, I think it's impossible to predict right now.
Well, we have a saying in Jewish tradition that prophecy, since the end of the era of prophecy is only given to the fools. So I'm not going to be prophetic. I don't know what will happen in Syria. I don't know what will be the next moves of Turkey or Iran.
But there must have been some internal assessments, right?
Well, there are people that are trying to assess the situation. At the end of the day, in such a degree of volatility, you cannot know what will happen. I think that the fact that Turkey is a NATO member,
yes,
although not always it has been behaving like a NATO member, but the fact that it's a NATO member, I think it works in favor of NATO. I think that the fact that Iran is no longer present in the scope it was present in Syria or in Lebanon is something that is favorable for Israel. But again, we have to be alert. We don't know what will be the attitude of the forces that are taking over in Syria. We wish for peace. We want to stabilize the region. And we hope that the Syrian people will concentrate in rebuilding their country instead of using violence against Israel.
Last two questions I want to ask you. One is that will this now lead to a push towards getting the war over? There is, of course, Hezbollah. With Hezbollah, there is a ceasefire, but with Hamas, the war continues. Do you think these changed conditions will be ripe for ending the war with Hamas as well. Do you see that?
We certainly hope so. We think that there is pressure being put on Hamas. The fact that their main patron, Iran, has received those blows, I think, might get them to rethink their position. We are not going to compromise on getting back all our hostages, and we are not going to allow Hamas to rearm and regroup in the Gaza Strip. So it's a tough situation, because what Hamas wants from us is to use the hostages card in order to create a situation in which they can gain back control over the entire Gaza Strip, rearm, regroup, and attack Israel. We won't allow that. So we have to be patient. We have to work with our allies and friends. We have to continue putting pressure on Hamas until they are no longer the leading force in the Gaza Strip and until they completely release all our hostages.
In 14 months of the war, this is probably the time when Iran and some of its proxy network is at its weakest. So one would say this is probably the best time to evaluate the prospects of ending that war. Is that a conversation that's happening internally right now in Israel?
Well, what we have seen in the last few days is that the Prime Minister has met with the families of the hostages yesterday and actually has said that, you know, the time is ripe for a hostage deal. So we certainly hope to see developments in the future. I don't know what will happen with the continuation of hostilities, with the sporadic efforts of the Hamas terrorist organization to continue their attack against our forces. This is an ongoing effort. I don't know when this will end, but it seems that the conditions have improved when it comes to the prospects of having a hostage deal sooner than later.
Final question, sir. It's 6 weeks before President-elect Donald Trump comes into power, and he's been very vocal about the fact that he wants to end this war. He's hopeful that it'll end on day one. Conditions, if they are as they continue till then, in your assessment, where do you see the war ending in terms? I know the conditions are known. You've highlighted them right now as well. But with the change of guard in US happening, and so how do you see that impacting the war?
Well, first of all, I think that if the ceasefire in the north holds, that means that the 90% of the stability we need to maintain our economy, to open up, the skies of Israel, to go back to normal life, are there. What is still left, once we have neutralized the Hamas military threat, the missile threat, and their infrastructure, the only thing that is left is to bring back the hostages and make sure that Hamas doesn't rearm and regroup. From the point of view of the Israeli economy, things are back on track. The Israeli economy is very robust. Tourism is coming back. So I think it's not dependent on an official ceasefire with Hamas. And struggling in the Gaza Strip is not going to be over until a horizon for Gaza is created that is conducive with the hopes of both of Israel and the Palestinian people.
Right.
Because what they have been suffering in the last 17 years of Hamas rule is terrible, and that has to change. So when are we going to see the conditions in which we can develop a plan together with our partners for the Palestinians to assume a more moderate leadership and actually start reconstructing Gaza? We don't have answers for that yet.
But the power dynamics have changed right now.
Absolutely.
Some of those who are very strong are not so strong right now in the last couple of days. And do you think that makes the conditions right? Because it's not just about US, it's also about the region and some of the regional leaders.
Look, I think no doubt it improved the prospects. And there is something very clear that we can see right now, that if you attempt to destroy Israel, you will be destroyed. And this is a very important message that is sent by the developments that we see in the region.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for taking out the time and speaking to NDTV. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
This is an urgent winter appeal from Care International. Around the world, conflict and extreme weather have forced women and their families from the safety of their homes. Now they brace themselves for a brutally cold winter without adequate shelter, clothing or heating.
الولاد ما نعرف ندفيهم وبرد وصديق يعني نمنا الشتي ما يجينا غطية مابو أطفالنا حفيانين أطفالنا جوعانين.
With no home, shelter or way to keep warm, winter is a terrifying time. Help Care work with women when disaster strikes. By donating right now, you could help provide warmth, shelter and supplies to women who urgently need them. Call 0800 144 5550 or go online to give what you can. For women left with nothing, your donation means everything. Please donate today and help women like Rama seek shelter and hope this winter. Thank you.
'Tis the season for gifting. So with Tesco Mobile, when you choose the incredible Google Pixel 9 Pro with 25 gigs of data for just $35.99 a month with club card prices, saving you a whopping £522, we've got an extra gift for you too. A Tesco gift card worth £100. Merry Giftmas. It pays to be connected. Search Tesco Mobile. Every little helps.
Christmas can be challenging at the best of times.
Okay, Mum.
But for families who have lost or are losing a loved one, it can be overwhelming.
They're here. Oh, honey, hello. So pleased to see you.
So amid the anger, could you give £23 to fund an hour of care? In between the stress...
It's not too late. No, you're not too late.
Could you fund an hour of comfort? And amongst the grief...
You're not alone.
Could you fund an hour of joy?
Okay, Mum. You all right?
This isn't the kind of Christmas anyone ever wanted. But with your help, we can be there to make it the best one possible. To give £23 for an hour of care, comfort and joy, please call 0800 810 0212, text CARE to 70488 or search Marie Curie Christmas. Thank you.
Transform hard chairs and surfaces into comfy seats with Soft Sitter from JML. The lightweight gel cushion that helps provide all-day comfort and support wherever you sit. The hexagonal honeycomb construction cushions, distributes and supports your weight. And its breathable design allows air to circulate, helping to keep you cool. Perfect for all types of seats or to use as a kneeling pad. Get the comfort and support you need this Christmas with Soft Sitter. Only $14.99 from Asda, Argos, Morrisons, Tesco and JMLdirect.com. JML, your Christmas made easier.
For such gentle souls, working donkeys in the Middle East lead terribly hard lives. For such trusting animals, donkeys are too often abused and exploited. These sensitive, loyal animals often suffer the cruelest pain. This is the hard, painful life that donkeys in Egypt, the West Bank, Israel and Gaza have to endure. Will you help Safe Haven for Donkeys make their hard lives much easier? Your gift means our mobile vet clinics can provide emergency treatment for injured donkeys. We heal wounds and ensure donkeys aren't suffering. You can make sure there's always a place at our sanctuaries for abandoned and abused donkeys. Please call 0800 144 5809